Is that better? Are we able to hear me now? Sorry about that there. So, as I said, my name is Hannah Bevan, and I'm taking you through today's webinar, which is focusing on our new tools, My Custom Product, and the portfolio construction enhancements. Hopefully, we're okay now. We've got the sound and the able to view my screen. Apologies for that slight hiccup there at the beginning. So what we'll do today is I'm going to work you through some actual examples on how you can create first a custom product, which can include term deposits, funds with a short performance history. You can now build those with a longer history on them, as well as the option to also build custom benchmarks. We'll then run through showing you how to add these to your portfolios, and then how you can run reports using some of the new areas enhancements within our reports, which includes the ability to now add your own custom commentary, and also the option within portfolio comparison to add additional charts to the 4 standard ones we've always had available there, or change the charts that you are going to show on your reports when you're providing them to clients. As we go through today, please feel free to send me questions. More than happy to answer them as we go along if I can. Otherwise, I will also have time for questions at the end of today's session. So My Custom Product, we start with that and building our products. That can be found under your name on the top right menu, and you just come here, My Custom Product. This tool, My Custom Product, I should also add, is only available to those users who currently subscribe to our Advisor Tools area. So that is the portfolio construction, the quantitative analysis area. If you currently don't have access there and would like to trial it, you're more than welcome to start the trial yourself within the site, or contact the client services team and we can set those trials up for you. So My Custom Product. This is going to allow you to have increased flexibility and ability to accurately reflect your client portfolios, particularly around the ability to now add term deposits to them as one of the new features that we have within here. When we come into the screen, any custom products you've previously built will be shown within this space here, so you can come in and you can edit them or delete them as you want to, or you simply just click on Create New to create a new product. So products can be funds, benchmarks, or cash or term deposits. We'll start with the term deposit today. You also have the option, depending on your settings, if this is just something you want to see, or if you have additional users in the business and you have an admin access, you can make it company-wide so everyone can see it. You do need to enter a unique identifier code here, which is similar to an API or a CDOL. You can't enter an API code or a CDOL or an ASX code that we already have in the system, so it does need to be one that is not the same. So if we're creating a term deposit, I might just say we're going to create a TBA 1-year deposit today, so I'm just going to give it some kind of name along that way. And benchmark, you don't have to select this. This is an option for you. Obviously, with a term deposit, it's not as relevant. And the default asset class is set for cash for you. You can sub-filter down just to Australian cash if you wanted. Click Create. And you've now got the screen where we can start building our custom products out. So we simply come to Add Term, and we just add the period we want our term to work over. So in this example, we're going to be working on a 1-year term deposit at the moment. So we say we've been running that for the last 12 months. So we'll just say we've had that since June 2017. So we're running it at the moment, aren't we? So from September 2017 through to the end of September. And then we just add the rate in here. So 2.2%, for example. And then once you've got the information you entered in, you simply click Save, and that term deposit has been saved for you within there. You can add additional terms to the same one if you wanted to, so you can have them tracking take just as one continuous term deposit in your portfolio. So you could come in and add an additional term here, or you can just create separate ones within the site. So we just click back. It takes me back to that home menu, and you can see I've now got my new CBA term deposit sitting here for me. That's probably the one you're going to be most frequently using within this site, just because, for yourself, for ease of actually reflecting now what your clients are holding in their portfolios. But there are also the more different abilities, as I said, to create custom funds or benchmarks. So if we start with a fund, again, you need your unique identifier code, so you can make this whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to make up a fund with, we've got, say for example, we have at the moment the Challenger Absolute Return Global Bond Fund in our site, but it's got a short performance history only from March 2017, and it's got a like performance history going back further from a product, say for example, it had in the States. You may want to use that as an example in your portfolio of what it was looking like before. So you can come in and you can create that type of performance history in here. So I'm just going to create that product here. For funds, we do recommend that you do select a benchmark so that way then when you are using it both within portfolio construction but more in quantitative analysis, it will have a benchmark assigned to it automatically for when you run those calculations, as you find with any of the other funds that you would normally run those on. So for the Challenger Fund, they use the Bloomberg benchmark. This is Bloomberg Ausbond. Let me just find the right one. Ausbond Bank Bill Index AUD. And then you just need to again select your asset class for your actual fund. So for any asset allocation areas like that, it will then be put into the correct one for calculations both within your portfolios when you assign it in the portfolio, but also within any risk analysis or anything like that you're doing, peer group analysis type of quantitative charts you're running later, like risk returns. So the Challenger Fund, for example, sits within fixed interest and then it is unconstrained bond. So I will just select those and click Create. Now, in creating funds, there are different versions we can do here. You can also create a fund which is composite performance, which is basically creating a fund of fund or a multi-manager style fund where you would just come and select the funds that we already have in iRate, and you would create that. You would create a fund from those existing funds or within here and assign a weighting to each one. So you're building more like a, as I said, a fund of fund multi-manager style product fund within this space. But we're going to focus today on custom performance. So custom performance, so you use this to upload your own growth data for a custom product. You can do it by adding the monthly returns if you know them, or the easiest way is to do it by actually uploading the growth data. So you click on Upload Growth Data. We have a standard template you can download. I've created one earlier using that template. So this is what you're seeing on the screen now. You just have to put in that unique identifier code we had when we set the product up. So as I said, we had here our unique identifier code for this fund is CHA01. Then you just have to put your start date in. So we're going to go back to 31st of January 2014. And your starting value for any fund will always have to start at 10,000. And then you just go through for each of the additional periods what that gross return was. Once you've got all of those there, you just save that chart to your own computer desktop. Come back to Custom Product, click Upload Growth Data, choose your file, open, upload the growth data. Now, if there are, for any reason, some errors in your file, as you can see I have here, you just click here to see the error message. And you can see my product here is got an incorrect date. So I've put the 1st of January 2017. It needs to be a month end. So just simply need to identify what that problem is within your chart. Just enable the editing. We'll just change it on this one here we've previously had open. Just need to update that, but you'll always get a little error message like you saw in that column D telling you what might be wrong next to each data point, so you can identify it, quickly make those changes. And then click OK to that and just come back and upload your file again. Open, upload my growth data file. And as you can see, that's now loaded in all those returns for me, the growth data values, but it also then calculates your monthly return for you as well. So I just got a question here. Should the return series of growth data be entered net of fees, or can the fees be stripped out later in the process? That's a really good question there. Thank you for that. It will need to be net of fees, so it's exactly the same as what the data is we're looking at on the site at the moment. There isn't the ability to take it out later on. So as I understand it, definitely is net of fees. But I will actually, just for the benefit of everyone here, I will go through and confirm that with our quant team later on as well. But I'm pretty sure if they say it is net of fees for you there. So I said you've got your data in here. Once you've done you've done it, it will automatically save that first file you've done. And then going forwards, if you would want to keep a custom fund that we don't have any data for, you can come in each month and you can add your new returns in here. You have the option to add it as an actual monthly return figure, so the actual percentage if you have that. So you can just come down. The next period is automatically set for you. You can just enter that figure. If you don't want to enter a figure again, you also have the option just to delete it. Or if you did want to each time do it using the gross data values, what you need to do is actually export the current ones we've seen on the screen, just use an export button here. That will download it in that same Excel template, add the new returns in, and then just come back and do upload gross data. Simply just uploading gross data for the next month or the next couple of months returns will actually remove what's already on screen. We don't actually add to a product. We have to start from the inception date each time. So just remember to export your file first, add the values on, and then re-import it, or just have a version of the file saved on your own computer, add the new dates, and just simply come in, upload that gross data. Once you've made your changes, you just click save. And that's then simple as that, just for creating your funds. Benchmarks work exactly the same way. So if we look at that and we come back to create new, we can create a benchmark. Again, you just need a code for it. I might just call it a multi-asset benchmark, for example. Multi-asset, we'll leave it like that. Sector, if you did want to do a particular level, say you wanted to go down to growth assets, perhaps we are going to create a balance style one today or growth. We click create. And you can come in here and create it. So also you've got your basic information panel on the left-hand side. You can make changes to this anytime. So if you've got problems typing correctly like me, you can just correct the name of your benchmark within here, click update, and that will then save that correctly for you. So any changes you make here are remembered and stored at any time. For our benchmark, we're going to use composite performance. We're going to use existing benchmarks to build this out today. So you just need to come in, select benchmark as the option. And we say we're going to use the ASX 200 total return. If we can find it. There we go. And maybe you want to use an MSCI global. And perhaps we'll just use the, so you can have as many in here as you want for your products. And you just keep selecting them until you're comfortable, and then you just come in and put your weights in. So very similar to building a portfolio in that sense with your weights, your asset allocation, it works that way. I'm just making obviously a random benchmark for us here, but you'd have more accurate information you'd be putting in. Again, once you're comfortable, you just then, that is saved automatically for you. Click save. Get the message to say it's been successfully saved and you're ready to go. So that's essentially how to use the three different ways within this space. So let's say that's a very good way of doing it, especially for funds. So say we have a fund, as I mentioned earlier, with a short performance history, you can then create the prior performance history in iRate with that way I've just shown you with creating the fund. And then when you're in portfolio construction, I'll show you in a moment how you can then link those two products when you're building your portfolio using a time series portfolio. So as an example that I've just got here is what I actually was going to show earlier was the Challenger Fund on how to do that. So I will show you how to do that link through. But exactly that's the idea with the custom fund area, is that you can use performance history for a like fund to create a longer performance history for a product that's now being sold in Australia that wasn't previously available within this space. The other options you have then, once you're in your actual products, we have the send to option. So again, this allows you now to send your product straight to portfolio construction, quant, or save it to one of your product groups, so you can quickly use it within that space here. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the export button. So export will simply export it into Excel, or you can have it saved as a file which you can email to colleagues or to yourself to save yourself. So you've got copies of them there. You can also anytime edit any of your custom funds or information that you have. You simply click on the edit. It will bring that back up for you to do any of the edit options you want to do. We go back. You're back to your first main screen where you were looking at information. So you have now all of that data available for you. You can select then certain products within here. You've got the arrows here. So say, for example, now I actually want to add one of my cash term deposits to one of my existing portfolios. I can just click on the tick box next to it. Once I tick the ones, I can have multiple ticks. I've got more options within here, as you can see. So for those funds that I have up, the funds I've created, I can bulk upload data for them, those selected ones. I can have them all on one spreadsheet, and I can bulk upload all that data, so you don't have to go through and do them one by one. As long as you have each of them with the unique identifiers on the same screen, it will do that for you. Again, the option to export everything, and you can email it or into an Excel format, print them, you can delete your separate products, or again, you've got the option to send to. So say I've got a portfolio I've already built and I want to add in this term deposit to it. I can quickly send it to my portfolio construction page. And I want to add it to an existing one, or you can add it to a new one. But say we're going to add it to an existing one today. And it's my growth model portfolio, for example. I now come into my portfolio here, scroll down to the cash area, and you can see that my term deposit I created is sitting here, and I just need to add my weights in. So that runs through the custom product in how to create them and how you can use and link them to the rest of the website. Are there any other questions at the moment on that before I then move into using it in portfolio construction? Okay, nothing specific at the moment is coming up on what we just looked at. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move into portfolio construction, which sits under our advisor tools area, and show you now how you can start implementing and using these custom products to actually start building your portfolios that are more sort of built exactly to mirror what your clients' portfolios are and the recommendations you're making for them in their best interests. So we're going to start with create new. We're going to create a brand new portfolio today. So I'll just discard the changes on this portfolio and we'll start again. Just need to give your portfolio a name. You've got the option as always to put an investment amount in if you want to, or you can leave that blank. I'm creating a model portfolio, so I'll leave that blank today. Our asset allocation, if you want to use the Lonzex strategic asset allocation, our current dynamic asset allocation, or again, custom asset allocation if you want to have your own asset allocation or a licensees you need to input there, you can do that and update the asset allocation percentages for each sector here. We'll just stick with the strategic asset allocation. Our strategy, so I'm building a conservative portfolio today, so I'll just change my risk profile to conservative. See, that's automatically now updated my asset allocation for me. Our benchmark has defaulted to the appropriate Financial Express unit trust benchmark for my strategy, but again, you can use other benchmarks if you want to measure your portfolio against. You just select them within here. I'll have alternatives in my portfolio. I'll keep that as yes. And for ease today, I'm just going to use the Lonzex blend. So that's our recommendations based on our current strategic asset allocation, what we believe is the best products available for you. So I'm going to use that today. I'm just going to click create. So I now have my portfolio sitting here with all the products in it. So coming back to adding our products, as well as doing it straight from the custom product area, you can now just come to add product on the top. We have a new tab, custom product. Just select on there. I can select the custom product I want to add. So say my 5-year term deposit for CBA, I'm going to add that one in. It's sitting down here, and I'm just going to change my weights, my cash amounts. So I have a cash value, say, for my term deposit, which is now 7%. Reduce our Vanguard cash reserve down to And I also had a question come through a moment ago, which I think is more appropriate to answer now. A colleague was just asking, can we still use generic cash within our portfolio? So obviously before we had term deposits, a large number of you would have just used generic cash as a way of just managing that. Yeah, that option is still there for us. So if we were to come back up to add product, and under fund, you can type in generic cash and select that. And that will add again to your portfolio down here in the cash area for you. And the generic cash is updated with each month's RBA cash rate. So it's reflecting the current cash rates there, and you can keep that in your portfolio as well. And you can have multiple term deposits in here or multiple custom products within this site as well. There is no limit. Once you're comfortable with your portfolio, you just click Save, and those changes will be saved down to your portfolio. A new feature we've also brought into this page, which will be a big time saver for us all, is the ability now to see what the data availability is for each of the underlying funds in your portfolio. So you just click on the Show Data Availability here, and it brings across the bars that you're pretty familiar with from the quantitative analysis page. Hover over it, and it will show you what data is available for each of your underlying funds. So you're able to identify if you are going to run any performance, what may be a challenge when you're running this that you have short performance history for. So even if it's like the AB fund here, we know we've only got data from July 2015. We also have a couple of red bars. That's just showing that we haven't updated, we don't have the most recent performance data for the AQR fund. We know that is lagged generally by a month. That's why we've only got the July data still for that one. We're also just into the start of September, so some of the August performance returns will still be slow coming through. Same with the generic cash rate. We haven't got the RBA cash rate through at the moment as well. So that shows you how you can manage your portfolio. Overall portfolio data availability, you can see we do have very short because we've only got data from March 2017 to July 2018, and it's this Challenger fund here which is causing that problem. So that then shows us now how we can then build a portfolio that's actually going to be true reflection of an actual client's portfolio, not just the current moment in time. And that's where we come through to creating our time series portfolios. So time series portfolios are really good for tracking fund changes, asset allocation changes, or anything else since the inception of your portfolio, and tracking it at each individual time period to be a true reflection of what your client's portfolio or your model portfolio is looking like. So you click on the Create Time Series Portfolio, we get this new box holding from. Now this is our current, the portfolio on the screen, as you look at it, is going to be your first time period. So this is going to be my portfolio as at March 2017, for example, because that's, we know, the earliest start date, inception date for that Challenger fund. And we click Add My Time Period. So March 2017, this is what my portfolio looked like. And once you're comfortable with that, you can just keep that within here and click Save, and it will save that period for you. You can then come through and make additional changes to your portfolio, doing exactly the same thing, adding new products. So I'm going to go back now and add a new period from January 2014, which is going to have the back history of the like product for Challenger. So 2014, January, add. So now for my holding from January 2014, I'm going to change what I see on the screen. So I'm going to add products. I'm going to go to my custom product, add my Challenger Global Bond Fund. That's now sitting within here. It's sitting within my global bond. I've got the option then to change my weight. So when I created the product, I actually created it as a fixed interest product. You can see within our portfolios, we are considering an alternatives fund. So you've also got the option with the drag and drop cross here to move them to a different asset class if you believe it sits better within that space. Literally drag and drop it. So I'm going to move it into alternatives. This message just asking if you're comfortable to make that change. So any asset allocations will now be based on the fund sitting within the alternative space. But any reports you see, such as the fund profiles, will still have the fund shown as a fixed interest product. And I've got my fund within here, so I just need to change my weight. So I'm going to make the Challenger my custom product version of the Challenger fund, the weight 6.5, and I'm going to delete the actual fund itself. That now gives me that longer performance history on that fund. You can make any other changes you want. So perhaps also back in 2014, we had a slightly different asset allocation, a strategic asset allocation. We can make changes to that in the left-hand grey panel as well. So as an example, perhaps we had slightly more in our Australian equity space, and our weighting within fixed interest came down as well. So you can just change those weights as you want to. You can see as I make that equal to 100%, my pie chart's done. Once you've made those changes, and you can change anything in this panel up here as you want to at any time, you need to always click Update. We'll show you on the screen what the changes are. Just confirm you're happy with them. If you are, you click Update or Revert to go back to how it was. And what it will do is it's now made those changes for me, and you can see within each one, my weightings are the same. So Australian equities is now equaling 18%, and it's automatically rebalanced the funds for me. It will do that for you, or you can again come in and type over those and put the correct asset allocations in. So that shows you how within the time series, using time series, you can make a large number of changes. I'm just going to add one further period within here, and we're going to skip back to the future. And I'm just going to remove, as you will know, we've recently removed GAM from our portfolios based on the changes made there in July. So I'm just going to come back to July 2018. My new period. And I'm going to take, so I'm going to add a new product to replace GAM. So the fund I'm going to replace it with is the is going to be a AQR fund. So I'm just going to put the APR code in. And remember, anytime when you are in here, you can search your funds by their names, or you can type multiple APIR codes in here. And with a bit of luck, they will, 00554AU, that's better. To type the APIR code in, it will add that product for you. That's now sitting within here for me, and I can make those changes as well. And you can return any products as you want to within that, and you can make those changes. So click Save. So that shows you how to add different time periods. So when you're working on your portfolio and you want to flick to different periods, you can use the left and right arrows, forward and back arrows, just to the right of the time periods, and it will flick to those for you. You can use the drop down just to click to different ones, or you can also click on View All Holdings, and this will show you in a table format the changes we've made over time. So you can see here my portfolio in 2014, I decreased my asset allocation within these products, and then it was increased again in 2018, and also where products have been replaced. So the Challenger Global Bond Fund, and then from the March period is the actual fund itself, and you can export all of that into Excel. So that shows you how to create the time series portfolio. It's essentially just creating multiple portfolios just with different time periods to them. It's the same process as creating a portfolio the first time. It's just doing it all on one screen at once. Are there any questions from anyone on any of that I've shown you so far? Okay, so the next page I want to show you today that we've made some enhancements on is our portfolio comparison area. So portfolio comparison allows you to compare up to 5 portfolios against each other. And this is really useful when you are making those recommendations to your client. You could put in their current portfolio, and then you can put in the recommendation that you've got for them, so you can then compare like for like on how they're looking, and explain to them why you're making the recommendation you are to them. So it'll always bring across the portfolio you were just working with on the screen in portfolio details. You come to add at the top and select the additional portfolio that you want to look at. So we'll look at this other model portfolio I have created previously. And it will load those in there, and you can keep adding additional portfolios in here. As these are time series portfolios, I'm just going to click to use performance-based calculation to use time series holdings, which means it will capture my both portfolios since their inception, tracking each of those changes we've made to both funds and any asset allocations over that history period. If you wanted, you've also now got the ability for your time series portfolios to look at that same portfolio with each block individually across here, and you would just load those in here and look there, and then you would just use the use selected portfolio holding. But we're focused on just comparing different portfolios today. Holdings, you just expand, you can see the differences, any holdings you may have in your portfolios over that time, as you can see within here. Your sector exposures, where there's any differences within those, and then you should have your returns shown within here. Unfortunately, we don't seem to have any returns shown, which is different to how it was working for me earlier. Just bear with me one moment. So we've got our start dates here are showing from the common dates we have for our portfolios, and we want them to be showing from both going back to the earliest dates from these time periods. There we go, we've got some performance here now. We are just making a few changes to the logic on this top section of the site, so just bear with us at the moment, but the option you really should be using is use time series holding. We just identified a bug, unfortunately, this morning in this section, which we're working through with IT now. So if you do have problems, just please give client services a call in the moment and we'll help you work through that, but we should have that fixed for you in the next 24 hours or so. With the returns after fees, you can see we've got the basic information here of tracking your portfolio returns. And now you've got your 4 charts at the bottom of the page. So above each chart, you now have a drop-down menu, and this allows you to change or replace that chart with a different one. So you've got all the charts you're used to in the quant analysis area. You've got within here, but you can select also which period you want to look at the returns over, whether it's 12 months or 3 years. So perhaps you want to look at the excess returns instead of the actual growth of 10,000 in that place. I can just change the chart there simply. I can add additional charts. So again, all those charts are available for me here. So perhaps I want to look at the quartile chart. I can add that in here for as well. I can add an additional chart. Again, perhaps the risk returns, the one we're interested in. And you can type those in within this space. You can change them how you want to within here as well. So perhaps I just want to replace this tray actually with my snail trail, for example. And you can change then also the order you're looking at the information on. So however you want to do this. So we had risk return for 1 year here. We've got a snail trail here, drawdown analysis. I don't want to see drawdown analysis. I can simply remove it and I'm left with 5 charts. So it's really flexible now in terms of what charts you're going to be looking at on the screen when you're comparing your portfolios, but also what is going to be exported into your client reports for you. Come back to the top. To print your client report, you can do it from here. Just simply come to print. And you now have the option to add additional commentary as well. So you can write, the reasons why you're recommending the portfolio. So recommending portfolio A because the reasons. You don't have, limited. There's a fair amount of space to write commentary in here. There's no sort of like small word limit in here. You can have quite a jump in there. Also, the ability to change the author. So this is quite important because obviously I know within offices a few people may use the same login. The author needs to be the advisor that's actually making this recommendation. So you can update that within here as well. It doesn't have to be the name of the person who the iRate account's registered in. You can add that commentary, or again, you had the option there, skip. If you didn't want to add that commentary into the report, you don't have to. Just so you're all aware, I don't know if you're already aware of this, we can add your logos to these reports as well. So if you would want your company logo to sit on both the portfolio comparison and the portfolio client report, we just need that from you in a JPEG format, and we can add those onto the reports for you. Once this report's published, so your logo will just sit up here. You can see we've got the normal comparison report, the comparison of your portfolios, sector exposures, the returns, comes through then to a new page with those charts. Those are the 5 charts I selected I wanted to view. And then it goes on to the final page just with the commentary that you've written. So that just really expanded out how you can now start presenting those reports and the information to your clients as you want to. You don't have to use this area just with multiple portfolios. If you wanted, you could just have the one portfolio on here and print this report out. That's absolutely fine as well. Or again, it has the ability to have up to 5 different portfolios in this space. So that covers off the portfolio comparison area. Now the additional information on the charts. Are there any questions on that at all? So I just had a question on whether or not there's flexibility on the different periods that you can do the charts for. At the moment, we have just limited it to the standard sort of periods that we were looking at here, so 1 monthly or 1 yearly, 3 yearly returns, and haven't gone any further because that's where the quantitative analysis tool really comes more into its own to do those longer periods you may want. We've just stuck with those shorter periods for now, but that's not to say there won't be further enhancements in the future as we move along and continue to develop iRate. So the final area I just want to touch on today, portfolio reports. So I mentioned we can now customize with commentary the portfolio comparison report. You can also add the commentary to your portfolio client report. So that's the standard report with the general 6 charts in, just looking at your one portfolio. And again, you can now add commentary. You've just got the box here to type your commentary in. Again, not a major limit on how much you can put. You've got plenty of space to type quite a bit in here. And the option still to add the additional reports. So the portfolio, the market commentary, and the product profiles can be added in there. Obviously, bearing in mind, if you've got custom products in there, there won't be any profiles or anything for those within that space. And additional reports, you can add the portfolio asset allocation, the comparison report. Once you're comfortable with all that, you've added your commentary, generate the report, just confirming that the advisor commentary is being written by me, myself, Hannah Bevan, not by someone else in the office. You click yes or no, and you can go and change that. And that report will download now with that information in. I'll show you that in a moment. The other area we're just going to touch on quickly today is then how, again, custom products are also available to you to use in the quantitative analysis tool. So I will just quickly show you that. If there are any other questions on anything I've shown today, please feel free to let me know what they are now, and I can cover them off with you at the end of the session. Yeah, it was taking a little bit longer to load than we'd like. So I'll show you that one in a moment. We'll just come back to portfolio details. So within quantitative analysis, we still have the same charts and options available for you to view your portfolios, or you can view funds within there. So you can create your funds within custom funds. You can also view and run those charts for. Here we are, there's the portfolio report. So you can see I've got my report here, the normal portfolio details. Your commentary just sits underneath the fees before we start running those charts, which sit in the report the same as before, and then you would go into those additional reports. And again, your logo, if you were to put that on here, would just sit in this top right-hand corner. So quantitative analysis, say for example I wanted to do some additional analysis or run some additional charts for this portfolio, I can just expand it here and send it to quant. Or you can come into quantitative analysis under advisor tools as well, exactly the same way. So my portfolio, having built out my time series portfolio, you can see with the T that's the case. I can click on the plus, and that shows you each of my different time periods for my portfolio and what data I have available in each of those time periods as well. So within the portfolio construction, I can view this portfolio. I'm going to delete that, show you how to add your custom products. Under custom, Perhaps we're going to look at my custom fund I built. I can have a look at the performance for that, and I can compare that against the standard fund as well if I wanted to. So there's no limit to how you actually do look at this information at all. Random fund. You can see I've got some common data of my funds within here, so I'm able to run those. You just select your charts as you would do normally. We'll just look for ease here, say at the growth of 10,000. You can set your benchmark, or you can leave the benchmark blank for that chart. Generate the chart. Oh, it's still calculating as a portfolio. Sorry, just untick calculate as a portfolio. We'll look at the two funds now. And you can see I've got those two products there to look at. So it's brought through your custom fund exactly the same on the charts as we would have looked at previously if you just had two normal funds. One final new feature just to bring to your attention is download image. We now have two formats of these images that you can use in PNG format. The standard one, which will fit the full width of a page, or one that's suitable for that can be shrunk so it can fit like in a two-column style report for you. So once you download that, again, you still just need to export them into Word. It comes out full size. But if you click copy, and we open up a Word document, for example, paste that chart in. While it comes out full size, I can now actually minimize these charts. And you can see if by shrinking it sort of at half size, I can still actually read all the font and text, and it's very clear resolution, which we didn't have before. So that's another way of exporting and being able to start making your own reports and customizing your reports as well within the iRate website. So that covers off everything I wanted to show you today with the new features we've brought into the portfolio construction area for you. I hope you're going to find these tools really useful resource and they help building with greater flexibility if you're building your clients' portfolios within here. Appreciate there is probably a lot within here to take in, and until you start using it, you may have some more questions. So as always, the client services team is here to help and support you with those questions. So please do give us a call or email us, and we'd be more than happy to speak to you. Our contact details, as a reminder, are just up on the screen now for you. Otherwise, I'll stay on the line for a few more minutes to answer any of the questions you have. But thank you very much for your time today. Just a question for everyone on the line about whether this presentation is being available on iRate. Yes, it will be. We've recorded today's session. It should be on iRate for you tomorrow morning to view, and we'll also share a link through the GoToMeeting to you for attending today as well. Thank you.